Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I hope everybody's having a good day. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to see you. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to Money in the Morning. And this is where we break down Black economics every single day, every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, because we are serious about our future and serious about our wealth and what our people are going to be long term. And anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're feeling good. Again, I'm going to have to say today that I did not. I was not in the 5 a.m. club today, and that was intentional. That was intentional. I totally felt the need to sleep in. I was so tired yesterday. I took two or three naps, which is just ghetto as hell, right? And I realized, okay, boys, you got to listen to your body. Your body needs some sleep. So I slept a full 8 hours last night, and I woke up really happy, feeling good, and so now I'm ready to get right back to it. I want to remind everybody that tonight we're actually going to at 8 o'clock. We're going to screen a big chunk of our film, the B1 the movie, for Black Movie Night. I know this is last minute for me to share it with you guys, but I wanted you all to know because you all can actually come for free because you're in this class. And B1 the movie is a movie that we spent 3 years making this film. It's really, really good. It's got lots of amazing people from our community in this film. Everybody from Dr. Claude Anderson to Reza Islam, D1, Brother Nuri Muhammad, just lots of great people. I can't even name everybody. Ash Cash from over at Earn Your Leisure, just a lot of really good people. And of course, I'm in it, yours truly. And so the film is something that we made and we did release it. And just to be quite frank, we took our time with the release. I showed it to you guys once. I wanted Rick Mathis to have an opportunity to tour with the movie because Rick was the extraordinary director who got the project done. I wrote some checks, a lot of checks to make it happen, and but Rick put in that sweat equity and got the damn thing done, and that was a great partnership. And generally speaking, I can say that filmmaking is hard. Shout out to all you, shout out to everybody who makes movies because it is grueling, it is challenging, it takes a long time, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of persistence, and Rick went out there and made the damn thing happen. So this is a brilliant and amazing movie, and it's all about our culture. It's about our people. It's B1. It's our movie, right? This is the epic movie that describes and defines what it means to be B1, what it means to be Black first, who we are, how we're going to impact the future, all that good stuff. So anyway, all right, so that'll be tonight at 8 o'clock. I will give you all the Zoom link where you can come into the Zoom and watch the film. I'll put that in the chat in a little bit. And also, I'm going to text it out to you. So make sure you're on the text list. If you're not, text the word morning to the number 87948. So text morning to 87948. And really, you guys are the ones I'm inviting primarily. I'm inviting a few other people from our network, but for the most part, we don't we I like to bring stuff to people that have been supporting us first and foremost, and that's why I bring things to you guys before anybody else. So anyway, with that said, give me a guess in the chat if you are aware of what's been going on with Jeffrey Epstein. If you've seen, there's a lot of outrage right now among the right wingers over Jeffrey Epstein. Apparently, they allegedly released the Epstein files, but they didn't really release the Epstein files. They kind of released like a few names. They're like, yeah, here's a couple of names, Ronald McDonald and Mickey Mouse and MC Hammer and whatever, but they didn't really release like the meat of it all. They didn't really tell you what was really going down, right? And so with this Jeffrey Epstein thing, this has been kind of a conversation in terms of Epstein. You know that he unfortunately something happened when he was locked up. He was in prison, and then he just they claimed that he offed himself, which I don't know if y'all believe that. I don't believe that. And so anyway, I wanted to bring this up because not only because it's just so interesting, but also it's a huge financial lesson. Like this really fits into what we do in Money in the Morning because it's a massive financial lesson, and let me tell you why. Jeffrey Epstein was filthy rich. Jeffrey Epstein was worth somewhere between 560 million and $1 billion. So he was very wealthy. He owned a lot of property. I wrote down some of the stuff that he owned. This man had so much stuff. He had at the time of his death, and way back in 2019. How many of y'all knew that it was that long ago? Jeffrey Epstein had a $50 million Manhattan townhouse, a $12 million Palm Beach mansion, a $17 million New Mexico ranch, a $9 million Paris apartment, and two private Caribbean islands valued at 86 million combined. And chances are all those assets will be worth about 40 to 50% more because, as you know, real estate values went way up. They shot up like crazy during the pandemic. Y'all do know that, right? The pandemic shot everything up. Now, here's what I want to kind of sort of center in on in terms of an Epstein conversation. So basically, when you're talking about Epstein, there are a few financial theories that explain why he was able to get away with all this stuff. Like let's start here. Give me a yes or no. How many of you believe that Epstein could have got away with all his shenanigans if he was like a regular guy, like a Wendy's employee, or maybe he was a middle manager at IBM? Give me a yes or no. How many of you believe that he would have gotten away with all this if he wasn't filthy, stinking, just disgustingly, just horrifically rich? Give me a yes or no. Okay. So that tells us right there. Okay, somebody said yes. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. But then again, though, you do have con artists that are broke. I knew I knew a guy that I grew up with. Just he was ridiculous. He would he didn't have no money, but ooh, buddy, he could talk his way into any situation, and you didn't want to meet him. If you ran into his path, I felt sorry for you. He was a real handsome guy, and he would meet these girls, and he would love bomb the heck out of them and get them pregnant in about three weeks, and tell them everything they wanted to hear. And literally 6 months into the relationship, she would find out that he never told her his real name. You know, he made up his whole history, his whole past, and then by the time he got discovered, he would just go somewhere else and start all over again. So this is why. So Epstein reminds me of that person I knew years ago. I would say a friend, but he was my friend when I was a kid. But when I started seeing what kind of stuff he was doing, I said, you ain't my friend. I won't be around you. But basically, Epstein was able to, because of his wealth, do the financial equivalent of love bombing. Right? He did financial love bombing. And financial love bombing is where you kick in the rule of reciprocity in economics. The rule of reciprocity says, look, if I do something nice for you, you're going to want to do something nice for me. So the first thing Epstein would do, similar to the Diddy's and other people, is they meet you and they do something really nice. It's nothing for him to write a check for $100,000 to change your life and pay all your bills. And then when that happens and he's a nice guy at the same time, well, then you want to reciprocate. You become loyal to that person. Maybe if you're a woman, you say, hey, like I'm kind of attracted to you now, right? Because money does make a man more handsome. Apparently, I'd never understood that. I wrote all about that in my book, Financial Lovemaking. It was really fascinating to me. And so basically, he used the law of reciprocity. This is a real scientific concept that's studied in marketing and also in finance, where literally when he would sprinkle, when he would financially love bomb people, that would lead them to want to be his friend. That would make them want to go to his private island. Of course, you're honored to go get on his private jet. Of course, you're excited that he invited you to that Diddy party, right? Because you're excited that now your ship has come in. You finally met that billionaire who's going to change your life. And this is really something to be careful about. A lot of you are ambitious. A lot of you have businesses that you're trying to build. A lot of you are trying to make that big connection. You're trying to find that person that's going to make everything better. Everybody does that. Everybody who's trying to be successful or famous, they're always looking for the person that's going to put them on or take them to the next level. That's what everybody's always looking for, or the thing that's gonna their big break. That's what everybody looks for. And first of all, I'm gonna tell you, I ain't never had no big break. Ain't nobody. I've never met a person who was like, "Yeah, you're really smart, and I really like you. I'm gonna make you famous, boy." Like I've never met that person. But not to say that can't happen, but I've never had that happen. My big break literally came from me deciding that I was gonna work my ass off every single day for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, including Christmas, and do that over a 10-year period. And then suddenly, somehow, my big breaks appeared. I was able to kind of elevate my career by just pouring into it, by through simple old-fashioned investment. And the best part about that, and it created resentment. I felt resentful. I was kind of mad. I was like, man, I'm a good person. I'm working hard. I'm good at what I do. How come ain't nobody recognizing? But at the same time, the beauty of it though was that when I built my tower of power, if you will, it was mine. It was my, I didn't owe nobody nothing. I didn't have to go to no Diddy parties. I didn't have to do no toe touches to get into the club. I didn't have to kowtow to anybody. And I actually got to the point where I was able to tell some pretty powerful, pretty famous people to kiss my whole entire black butt because what you're doing is inappropriate. What the way your behavior is disrespectful. And so really the truth is, even though it's harder to build things on your own or to build things with the resources that you have, you'd be amazed at what you can do if you focus and pour into you instead of pouring into trying to become somebody's friend and thinking that making the right friend, or if you're a rapper, meeting the right artist is gonna help you blow up. You're better pouring into yourself. I can just tell you, I just because you'd be amazed how many people have given me their mixtape like I somehow know how to make a rapper famous. I don't. If I've done it, it's all been by accident. I did help a rapper become famous named Young M.A. Young M.A. was on my Facebook page, and then she got a record deal because her stuff went viral on my page. That was not planned. I did not. I'm not Clive Davis. I did not make a strategy for this to happen. I just threw it on my Facebook page and made a comment, and her talent is what made her discovered. It wasn't me. So my point is to say that stop waiting for the big break. Stop waiting for somebody else to do for you what you're really supposed to be doing for yourself. You stop trying to take a jet airplane when some of us sometimes we gotta walk, sometimes we gotta ride our bike, sometimes we gotta take the bus, right? And but we were sitting on the side of the street waiting for a plane ticket, and sometimes the plane never arrives. Do you understand? Like that, it just doesn't. So long story short. Jeffrey Epstein, guys like him that have all this money, they are able to prey on people's dreams. That's what they do. The devil preys on your dreams. The devil can smell your desire. He can smell your greed. He can smell your ambition. He can smell all these things, right? And so the things that you have an addiction to, the things that you are hungry for, then the devil will come up and sprinkle them in your face. And next thing you know, you're selling out and really bending your integrity so you can get access to that thing. And then you end up in a situation that you didn't sign up for. In fact, I will tell you this, real true story. One of my friends was an actress in Hollywood, very pretty, very talented, and a grinder, worked many, many years, and got some opportunities, but not as many as she deserved because she was more talented than that. And she met this really nice Jewish man who saw her talent, who really wanted to make her famous. And so what this man did was he was about 75 years old. He took her to the Oscars. He put Halle Berry on the phone so she could talk to Halle. He bought her nice stuff, and she got all excited. She was all like, "Oh my God, finally! I've been waiting my whole life for this big break, and finally somebody sees my talent." And then I think out on maybe the fourth or fifth meeting, they're in his office, and he pulls his penis out. And he's like, "Hey, look, this, you pay the cost of admission. I'll let you in the amusement park." And that's what he did, and she says, that she was like, I didn't sign up for this. I thought that you were giving me opportunities because of my talent and all that. And he's like, yeah, you're talented, but there's a lot of talented people out there. There's thousands of you, but there's not many of me. Like, I have the money, you got the talent. There's a ton of talent out here, but ain't too many people that can write a big check, right? And so that was kind of the logic. And here's the thing: she knew of many other black actresses who came through this guy who were endorsed and supported by this guy, and she's like, what price did they pay to get access to their fame and their fortune? What deal with the devil did you have to make in order for this to happen? And so really what that led me to do, here's what that led me to do. And I'm going to get back to the Epstein thing because this all ties back to the Epstein conversation. In case you don't know, I started off talking about Jeffrey Epstein and how wealthy, powerful people can really use their money to manipulate those who are financially desperate or who are hungry for a dream or who don't understand how the game is played. So so what this led me to do was I went to our youngest daughter who's 14. She's really talented. She sings, she dances, she acts, and she practices every single day. I've never seen a day where she did not practice doing one of those three things. So I believe at some point she's going to be really successful. She's as pretty as her mama and just super talented, works her butt off. And you got me and her dad and her mother coaching her in the background. So I really think she has a great probability of success. And so what I did was I said, look, we got to have a serious conversation about economics. I need you to understand that the way the world works, not the way the world is supposed to work. People tell you that the way the world is supposed to work is that because you're so talented and you work so hard, people are going to just give you opportunities because they just think you're awesome and want to help you. And I said, I don't think the world works that way. I said, the way the world works is that celebrities don't typically have very much power. They just look powerful because they're bright and shiny. It's like this lamp. This lamp looks powerful because it's the shiniest thing on my desk, but the lamp is not powerful. The lamp is only appears to be powerful because it's plugged into the power source. So if I want to understand the power of this lamp, I don't look at the lamp. I look at the power. I go look at the plug. I look at the outlet, the power outlet. I look at the electrical wiring that provides the power, not the lamp who's just simply emanating the power that's being thrust into it. I want to look at the power source. So I said, look, if you want to talk about entertainment, the power source of entertainment is not these damn celebrities that you see on the BET Awards. It's not that person you see on stage. It's not the person who's singing, dancing, rapping, telling jokes or whatever. Those people are not typically very powerful. The people that are the most powerful in this industry are the people that write the checks. The people that are most powerful in the industry are the ones who fund the operation, the ones who are able to go to the bank, borrow $100 million, and say, we're going to go make a movie now. Those people have far more power than any actor or whatever than you would imagine. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes actors and stuff can eventually accumulate some power, right? For sure. But at the same time, the real power belongs to those who have the business infrastructure in place that are able to fund that, right? So I told her, I said, look, I'm going to make you learn business. I need you to learn business because I don't want you to be out here in Hollywood, young, hardworking, gorgeous, talented, and desperate. I don't want that. I don't need you. We ain't doing no casting couches. We're not letting anybody use their wealth to manipulate you because that's inappropriate and that will steal parts of your soul that you can never get back. And that's not something that we're doing, right? So we're going to learn different business models. We're going to learn Tyler Perry's model, for example. I hate Tyler Perry movies. I hate about 80% of them. No, if you like Tyler, then God bless you. But maybe I'm not in his target demographic. Sorry, Tyler. Sometimes in the morning I say stuff a little bit too raw, but I don't like Tyler Perry movies. That's not my thing. But some people like him, and enough people like him. More, tons of people like him. That's why he makes so much money. And what I admire about Tyler is that Tyler does seem to understand the business aspect of what he does. And he's probably a person that will think about the script and the actors and the characters, but he's really thinking more so about the business side, not just raising the money, but also the target audience and how to monetize and all these other things that come with making a project, right? So ultimately, when you're talking about this, it is the lack of conversation in our families about business models that causes us to be economically exploited. That's what leads to so much. If you talk about oppression, you cannot talk about black oppression without talking about money. If you take the money out of the equation, then a lot of the oppression honestly goes away. Because then at that point, it's just all about like white people not liking you. And who cares if other people like you? Just like yourself, right? It's the money. People don't like you, and then they don't give you access to certain economic resources or certain opportunities. They don't give you a seat at the table, and so to me, that really says that the most important thing a black person can learn is how to build a table. Because if you know how to build a table, then you're not begging to sit at somebody's table. You're spending that energy, all the energy you would have spent begging to sit at somebody's table. You're putting that energy into building your own table. But it also requires a different mindset. The mindset of building a table does require some degree of patience and humility and commitment to a bigger vision. You have to have financial consciousness in order to build a table. Financial consciousness is that ability to see things in the past, present, future, to see things that are not yet seen, and to assess your economic environment, to not just look at what is, but to look at what can be. Financial consciousness means that when I'm building my table, it might be a raggedy table. It might be a tiny table. It's going to look like nothing compared to the big tables that have been built over the last 100, 200 years, but it's my damn table, and I'm going to keep pouring into this table. The best move I can make is not to spend time adding to your table so that I can feel good about myself. The best move I can make is for me to add into my table so that me and my loved ones can all feel good, but we may feel better. It may take a few years for us to get there. It takes time. Right. And I mean, I want y'all to really process this. This is real stuff. I'm gonna be honest with y'all today. This is on my mind. I hope I don't sound overly pessimistic because I admit when I sort of process my emotions today, I'm feeling a little bit pessimistic because I was thinking about that damn statistic where they said 59% of black women have babies with multiple men, which means that the large percentage of black men have many babies mamas and all this other stuff. And I thought to myself, I said, those of us who can't build families, we can't build families probably for the same reason we can't build businesses. Let's just be honest. We can't build we don't build families in many cases for the same reason we can't build businesses. What does that mean? Well, building a business and building a family requires patience. Building anything requires you to be able to sacrifice. It requires you to be committed to the thing that you're doing. And if all you're committed to is feeling good all the time, if all you're committed to is being comfortable all the time, if all you're committed to is whatever thing is going to give you pleasure next, then you're never going to build anything. Building an institution, building a building, building a business, building a family means you have to say, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm committed to, this is what I'm pouring into, right? It doesn't mean like, oh, well, I'm not happy anymore, and because I'm kind of sad, I'm gonna go ahead and tear the thing down and start all over again, right? Like that just doesn't add up. And I just really encourage you to understand that that concept of delayed gratification is consistent all throughout wealth. People who don't have delayed gratification never build wealth. Warren Buffett said that wealth is a transfer from impatient people to patient people. It's a transfer from people who can't delay gratification it's a transfer from those who need instant gratification to those who can delay gratification. The person who says, "Hey, I'll take that distressed asset off your hands. I'll buy that cheap stock from you because right now you're scared and you want the money because you want to go to the club and you want to go spend it or whatever and you're financially desperate." Okay, sure. You're thinking short term, I'm thinking long term. That stock used to be worth 50 bucks. Now it's worth 35. You're starting to panic. Let me buy that from you and give you some cash. And then when I sit on this stock, like the goose sitting on the golden egg, and that stock goes up to 35, 45, 55, 60, 70, you sitting there and you're mad at me because now I'm sitting on an $80 stock that you sold to me for 35 bucks because you can't see past next Tuesday. You can't see past your current situation. You can't see what could be. All you can see is what is. You're in a psychological prison. That's what that is. And this happens, and this isn't just true in business, it's also true in relationships. People who get into problems in their relationships and they're so mad and so traumatized and so hurt that they can't breathe, calm down, go see a therapist, talk, get a counselor in the be patient with their partner, count their blessings, take their time to make a decision. Suddenly they blow up the family. And then it's like, yeah, I'm single now, ready to mingle, living my best life or whatever. And then you're just kind of starting all over again. And I'm not making fun of anybody in that category. Again, I'm not, because we're all hit by this. We're all hit by not just instant gratification, but also trauma and all these other things. And these are easily preventable, easily curable illnesses that affect us in so many different ways. So I encourage you, if you want to learn how to build wealth, I would encourage you to learn how to deal with your trauma. I would encourage you to get help with your trauma because trauma responses all that does is that leads you to keep on burning down the building. You burn down relationships, you burn down businesses, you burn down opportunities, you burn bridges because you're so damn scared of everything. So trauma is something that has to be addressed if you ever want to be successful. And I say this I'm talking about myself actually. So don't think I'm talking about you because I'm talking about Boyce. Because believe me, I can't tell you how many times I've lost opportunities because my trauma response took over. This whole like can't trust nobody. Oh, they trying to get over on you. Oh, these all that stuff. Instead of just being mature and relaxing and saying it's gonna be okay, just give it some time, back up, think about it for a little while, and then come back and make a decision later. Just that little thing, just literally giving yourself a couple of days before you make a decision will save you a lot of mistakes. I promise you. So anyway, let me move on. I want to remind everybody if you just came in, some of you are watching from YouTube. I didn't send out the Zoom link. I sent the YouTube link. Subscribe to that channel, by the way. It's called Intelligent Black People, and it's a channel where sometimes we run content on there from different people from different parts of our organization. We have literally dozens of people that do stuff that's really interesting, and I don't want our platforms to just be about the celebration of Boyce Watkins. I think there's so many smart black people out here that they should be heard as well. And so the ladies at Fly Nubian Queen, they do stuff. There's a therapist, a black therapist, Joe. I don't have his last name, but Joe's really smart, and Joe brings in a lot of his friends, and they have these really amazing conversations about black people. So I encourage you to like take a look at some of the content there because these are really good discussions, and I don't think there are enough. We have enough black male rappers and athletes and comedians speaking. Joe Corley, thank you, Armando. Joe Corley, that's his name. Thank you for correcting me on that. We got enough black entertainers out there, enough black men clowning and or talking crazy about black women or talking about sports and all this other stuff, and that's fine, nothing wrong with that. But I kind of think black men have to push ourselves to evolve our discussions so that we can really have conversations that make us human, right? Conversations that make us complete people instead of just being like these sex obsessed, sports obsessed, guys that just want to get together and clown and talk about ridiculous stuff. Like, I think that we need to have real conversations about what black men are really feeling, what they're going through. And some of you have sons that need some of this too. And I think our sons need mentorship, so that they can prepare for the next step of life. Because, the job that we have, I think, as men is very, very important, and women as well, right? I think that all of that matters. And I think that if you want to be successful at anything, you have to work on becoming a complete human being. And that means getting in touch with your feelings so that you can figure out who the hell you want to be so you can go out here and conquer this world and fight. You got to stand up to that white man. He's going to kick you in your butt if you don't. If you show up like a little punk, he will stomp you in your face and spit on you and then call you whatever word he wants to call you, and ain't gonna be nothing you can do about it. So when I talk about stuff like getting in touch with your emotions, I mean really digging deep, find out who the hell you are, who you want to be, and being that man every single day because people are counting on you. That's how I feel about being a black man. If you want the real truth. All right, so let's jump back to this Epstein thing. I want to talk about this a little bit more. So here's how the Epsteins get over on people financially. I'm gonna name a couple of financial theories that'll help you understand exactly how Epstein was able to pull a big rope a dope on so many people. One, there's something, and this is very simple. You probably understand this is called regulatory capture theory. And it basically says wealthy individuals can influence regulators and law enforcement through campaign donations, lobbying, or direct financial incentives. So because Epstein was connected to so many people, including the president of the United States, Trump, he was able to get away with stuff. He was able to pay people, and he was able to make donations to people's campaigns, and it's really getting kind of crazy now because I think I'm gonna tell you again. I don't know if you like Trump or not. I don't care if you do, but I've been following this guy for 35 years. This man is very crooked. I mean, he's been involved in some business deals 20, 30 years ago that just stank of corruption, right? Mafia linked, all this other stuff. So the idea that he's running the White House is kind of an interesting social experiment. That's all I'm gonna say. It's gonna be. But then again, I saw corruption with the Democrats too. And I'm not even going to keep going. I'm not even going to talk about the stuff that I heard in Chicago when who was rising through the ranks. So don't think this is a Democrat or Republican thing. Believe me, just say that there are people. There have been people who've just died under mysterious circumstances because they blocked the agenda. Let's just say that. What else? There is something called the elite network theory, which says that ultra wealthy individuals operate within exclusive networks where legal accountability is weaker. Epstein's financial resources allowed him to build relationships with politicians, corporate executives, etc. And so that's similar. The elite network theory is similar to regulatory capture. And one thing that's interesting is this makes me think about. I wrote a book called "What If George Bush Were a Black Man," and I wrote this book back in 2004 when I was on the faculty at Syracuse. And I wrote this book because I said one of the problems that we have in America, the racial issue, is part of it is that black men, I think, have just a thinner margin of error than everyone else. So if you are white and you make mistakes, your penalties are not as great as if you're black. And I wrote this as a person who'd been traumatized from the Biden crime bill and mass incarceration and seeing, really seeing people that were the young, like a 19-year-old who just made a mistake get 30 years in prison because he helped his friend connect to another friend and they did a drug deal together. I mean, they literally just were exterminating black men. That was our Holocaust. And I don't know why people don't see it that way. I think it's unfortunate that we can see everybody else's suffering, but we can't see our own. That was scary as hell. Because you can't tell me that every single 19-year-old who did a drug deal was irredeemable and just a person that needed to be in prison until he was 40 or 50. I don't agree with that, right? So when I wrote that book, I was thinking about that and I said, okay, I get it now. When you're black and you make certain mistakes, the penalties can be just massive. And so I use statistics to kind of make my argument in this book. And that's what I think about when I think about the elite network theory, right? Those who are white and wealthy, and really it's more so the wealth than it is the race, but race does matter as well if you hold the wealth, constant. You just kind of get, the justice system we know is leaned in favor of those that have resources, right? This is yet another reason why, at the same time, if you want to protect your son, protect your daughter, you teach them wealth, have them save and invest and all these other things so that when they run into these problems, they're able to come up with the resources that they need in order to defend themselves. Um, Also, let's see here. There was another one I found. Oh, social capital theory. So basically, having a lot of financial resources can help you build a big network of influential contacts. So that network enhances your social capital, making association desirable for others seeking to expand their own influence. So what happens is that in social capital theory, if I'm the rich guy and I've got a bunch of rich, powerful friends, my rich, powerful friends also want to connect with me because we're all increasing our social capital. And then their rich and connected friends are going to be introduced to me. And next thing you know, you're forming this massive web of these rich, connected people that are able to kind of get things done. And this is where networking and relationship building does become extremely important because what you'll find is that when you're in the right kind of network, it's very easy to do things like, oh, I need to raise $1 million. Okay, let me make a couple of phone calls. Elon Musk, when he needed to raise $44 billion to buy Twitter, he calls up his friend Larry Ellison. He's like, yeah, I want to buy. He texts him and says, I want to buy Twitter. Are you in? And Larry's like, yeah, I'm in. Like, so he's like, yeah, I'm in for 2 billion or whatever, right? So really, that network, I think that's something that should be taught as a literally almost like a class. I think that you should have your kids maybe read a book like Success Runs in Our Race by Dr. George C. Frazier to learn how to network properly so they can form the right networks with the right people. But you got to be really careful with networking because sometimes wealthy people will flaunt their wealth and they'll lie about how much they have just to get access to you and what you have. And I've seen that happen. I've seen people. I met one guy. He said he was a billionaire. I didn't believe him, because I didn't see any evidence that he really was. And I also remember telling my wife, I said, I don't care if he's a billionaire. He's not giving us any of the money. So why do I care how much money he has? And she's like, well, don't you want to take his call? I'm like, no, I talked to him 3 times and nothing came out of that. So why would I, if you want to impress me, write a check. Show me that, like, write a check. I can write a check. I've written checks. In fact, that's what I do. That's how I show people that I'm different. I'll say, not only do I believe in what we're doing here, but just to show you that I'm serious, I can write a check. Let's talk about the amount. I will send you the money tomorrow just to show you that I'm different from the people who talk. A lot of people talk. So you got to be real careful about that. When you start networking with people that claim to have a whole lot of money, there are people who just are professional liars to some extent. They will just walk around like I'm wealthy, I'm a billionaire, and but if you watch how they move, they're not actually investing in anything. They're not writing any checks. So what good is it to be friends with a billionaire if they're not actually writing any checks? No, I like people. I'd rather be friends with a thousandaire who writes checks than to be friends with a billionaire who just talks, right? Because a lot of people just talk. So you got to know the difference between the two. Because that is a game. The rapper Too Short he had a song like that where he said he would go and meet girls that want to get with him because he has a lot of money, and he says, but it was stupid because they would sleep with me, but I wouldn't give them anything. I wouldn't give them any money. So what is it? So what is it about the proximity to money that makes you want to give something of real value to someone who's not going to give you back any value? Well, that's because we kind of want to buy those little lottery tickets. And we think that if we're around the rich person at some point, they're going to do something with their money that's going to benefit us. But that's not it. I'd rather have good friends than rich friends, any day of the week. All right. And serious people over just people that have a bunch of money that they claim to have tied up somewhere. I don't believe any of that. You never really know. You can't really confirm how well somebody's doing. So just be really careful about people pretending, and especially when you talk about dating. Like that's a big game in dating. Like guys that'll drive a certain kind of car, get a certain kind of apartment, and throw money around and give the impression that they have lots of money when really I would ask a deeper question and say like, well, how do you know that they're really doing well financially? How do you really know that they're financially secure? Because I can tell you if they're throwing money around doesn't make you more financially secure. It makes you more financially insecure. And then also the money that they are throwing around, is that really even their money? They could have got money off their credit card and be throwing around money from the credit card. I said this when I saw the rapper 50 Cent. People were making jokes about 50 Cent being broke. And so what 50 Cent did to prove to those who are not financially sophisticated, he wanted to prove that he wasn't broke. So what he did was he took a bunch of $100 bills and he spelled the word broke on his bed, right? And people were like, "Oh, he can't be broke. Look at all those $100 bills." I'm like, "No, he can still be broke." And because getting cash doesn't mean that you're actually financially secure. It doesn't mean you have a positive net worth. You only know that through deeper analysis. You can't know that just by what kind of shoes somebody's wearing or what kind of car that they're driving or anything like that. In fact, those could be signs of financial instability and financial insecurity. So I don't know exactly what the process would be. I mean, it's kind of a personal question to sort of get into how somebody's doing financially. But I think a better measure of determining if somebody's truly financially secure is to look at how they move, how they talk about their money. If they spend a lot of time talking about their investments and the assets that they own, that might be a clue that of how they're thinking about the money that they receive, right? Sometimes the person who's a little bit frugal might actually be sending a stronger signal of their financial security than a person who's overly generous financially, right? And also maybe if I'm overly generous, maybe I'm just trying to impress you, or maybe I'm just throwing my money away, or my money burns a hole in my pocket. It's really hard. It takes time to kind of figure these things out. And I would say that it's worth spending time figuring that out because I've seen a lot of situations, especially when I was researching my book, Financial Lovemaking. I saw scenarios where people would literally get married, and after they got married, they would find out that their partner's credit score was in the toilet. After they got married, they would find out that they had that $200,000 in student loans that they didn't know anything about. After they got married, they'd find out that their job security wasn't what they thought it was, or maybe they were planning to quit their job as soon as they got married to you because you were doing so well. So now they figured that they don't have to work anymore. They can go back to school or whatever. Or after they got married, they'd find out what their future plans were financially. Like, yeah, okay, now that I'm married, I don't want to work anymore. I want to pursue my music career full time or whatever it is, right? So this, in a way, it makes me think about companies, right? When analysts are trying to figure out if a company is doing well financially, they'll look at a few different things. They'll look at how much money they made in the last quarter. They'll look at their assets. They'll look at their assets and their liabilities and kind of do some ratios. And then they'll look at something they call guidance. Guidance is what do you see in the future? What's coming up down the pike for you financially? And if the guidance is bad, the stock price will still tank even if the money's good. Even if the company has good cash flow and had a great quarter, if the guidance is bad, if there's an indicator to say that they're not going to make as much money in the future, the stock price will still decline. So really, maybe if you're looking at a person, you can think of it the way you look at a company. If I'm trying to figure out if the person I'm committing my time to, my if I'm that I'm going into business with, that I'm going to date or marry or whatever is doing well financially, well, maybe I'm going to just, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit and just listen to you for a long time. And then I'm not just going to listen to you, I'm going to watch you. Because I'm not just listening to what you say, I'm watching what you do. And then also, and eventually, if I listen to you long enough, then eventually you're going to give me some information about who you are, how you think, what you've done, how you got here, and your guidance going forward, how you make economic decisions, right? Like you see them, they get their check. what do they do when they get their check? Do they spend extra money when they get their check? Are they quick if they go buy a car? How do they shop for cars? How do they, like I can tell you, for example, about my wife. My wife, she's a little bougie. She wanted a Mercedes. When she bought the last car, she did get a Benz, but let me tell you about this lady. She got the cheapest Benz on the whole damn lot. She got a 2019 Benz. It was cherry red. It's a beautiful car, but it's a 2019 Benz. And we walked right past all the $80,000 cars, the $100,000 cars, the $70,000 cars. And the man tried to talk her into looking at one of the other cars. He's like, "We're going to the ghetto cheap men section. Don't you like any of these other cars?" My wife did not look at any of those. She had blinders on. She was looking straight at the cheapest Benz in the lot because that was the one that she wanted because she did not want to overspend. She wanted to feel bougie, but she wanted to be bougie on a budget. And that just speaks to her financial mindset, or maybe the way she does her stocks. She looks at her stocks once a year. She invests. She maxes out her paycheck every time she gets a check. She puts as much of her money in the 401k as possible. That right there told me her 401k must be stacked. I can't tell you how much is in there because I've never really asked, and I don't know. Maybe she'd tell me if I asked, but I just don't. We just don't do that. But I can tell you, I bet you every nickel in my bank account that she's got a big fat gigantic 401k because I'm looking at the habits and I'm thinking, if you've been maxing out your 401k every year you've been working and you've been working a long time, compound interest dictates that you probably have just a ton of money in that thing. Do you understand? Right? So it's mindset. Everything is about sort of observing people and just sort of seeing things, and then eventually you have to ask some hard questions. If you're really talking about tying up with somebody, you got to get financially naked. Maybe you do end up looking at the credit score. You don't want to catch a financial STD, right? I'd like to see the credit score. I'd like to kind of see what's going on with the student loans, right? Because it's really interesting that people will spend all this time talking about sexual compatibility and spiritual compatibility and all these other types of compatibility, but they never really talk about financial compatibility. And I can tell you that if you make that mistake, it's really, really painful. Especially if you're going north and the other person's going south. I counseled a couple one time where the wife was a hardworking lady, and she didn't like debt. She didn't like debt at all. And the husband was in the entertainment industry, and he was a good guy, but he really had these entertainment industry dreams. And they had this credit card that had $10,000 on it. They'd maxed it out, and she worked her butt off for years, with her job to pay down this credit card, and she paid it all off. And as soon as she paid it off, he took the credit card and maxed it out again to like start some business, and the business flopped and didn't make any money. And so she's like devastated because literally all the hard work she put into paying off this debt like was work like went right into the toilet because she pretty much worked hard so that her husband could go and do something else with the money. And so I would just say that it's easier if you're rowing in the same direction, right? And it's also just easier, I think, if you're dealing with somebody that works hard, that knows a little bit about money, that isn't caught up too much in the things that waste money, right? Like it takes pressure off of me that my wife is not overly materialistic. Believe me, when I was single, I met women that where I could tell I was like, oh, you probably be real good at spending my money, wouldn't you? That wasn't appealing to me. It's like that's exhausting, right? I kind of like the idea of somebody who wasn't caught up in the materialism as much as some other people can be. So just some thoughts, just some thoughts. All right, so let's finish up on the Epstein thing. And just a reminder, everybody, tonight we're going to show our film B1 the movie, directed by Rick Mathis. All of you all are invited, and I'm not inviting everybody. I'm inviting those of you that are on the list, and also those that come to class. And we're going to have a discussion about the film. We're going to watch. It's broken into four pieces, so we're going to watch the first piece and just have a conversation. Because today, I think is the day that we're going to start. We're supposed to start boycotting everybody because the black boycott thing. I personally believe we should boycott all the time. Because they're always boycotting us. They never stop boycotting black-owned businesses. They boycott black-owned businesses year-round, so I believe we should boycott them year-round. But hey, if you want to make today a special day, then that's fine too. Whatever it takes to get us off the ground. So anyway, we're gonna watch the film tonight at 8 o'clock. I will text you all the link. Make sure you're on the text list for this class. If you're not on the text list, text the word morning to the number 87948. You can text morning to 87948. And what I'll do actually really quickly is I actually have the Zoom link registration link right here. So I'm going to put this in the chat so you guys can just grab it here too if you want. So give me one second, everybody. Let me put this in here. But yeah, we're really excited about the movie, and I told you all that I think Black people we should have our own entertainment anyway, and you build where you stand. You build with what you have. You start with what you got. We didn't have millions of dollars to make movies. We just don't have that, right? So we just said, okay, we ain't got millions, but we can get like 30,000, and we got all the talent in the world because Black people are more talented than everyone else. Okay, those of you that are watching on YouTube, I cannot put the link in here. I've tried to put it here twice. It's not coming through. So I'll text it out to you guys. I'll send it out to the text list. But yeah, so we spent 30,000 and we made the movie and it was really damn good. And we shot it at the convention and it's very powerful. And Rick did a great job, and I think you guys will like it quite a lot. All right, so a couple more things in terms of the Jeffrey Epstein thing. Let's finish up with that. So that's where we started. So here's another reason why Jeffrey Epstein was able to get away with so much. There's another thing I mentioned it a little bit earlier, the reciprocity principle, which basically says that wealthy people who are really generous, what happens is they're kind of stacking up favors. This is the part that made me really think, okay, I think I see what's going on. I think Jeffrey Epstein was actually Israeli intelligence. That's what I believe he was. Because nobody really knows how he got his money, by the way. Everyone speculates. They don't know if he got it from illegal activities, if he got it from running a hedge fund. I don't think he really has. I think that there's something conspicuous or sneaky about all of this. So anyway, long story short, the reciprocity principle is where you go around and you're wealthy and you do a bunch of favors for people. And when you do favors for people, they owe you a favor. And then next thing you know, you have leverage on people. And I think that's what he was doing. I think he was gathering um, leverage that would allow them. So the next time, for example, if some bill comes through Congress and they're voting on whether or not to send Israel another $50 billion so they can go blow up Palestinian people or whatever, you're not going to vote against that because they got some blackmail on you. I think that it's that sinister. I really think that these are some sneaky people. The last piece is something called a halo effect. And so basically what happens is that when people are wealthy, pay attention now. When people are wealthy and also when they're attractive and powerful, we tend to put a halo around their head. We tend to believe that these individuals are trustworthy and competent. And this is a cognitive bias. It's called the halo effect. And it causes you to overlook red flags. Anybody ever seen that? Anybody ever seen anybody ever seen a dude looking at a real pretty girl and he doesn't notice any of the red flags? Like he doesn't realize like the devil shows up in a nice pretty dress, or that tall handsome man who just sweeps you off your feet, and because he's sweeping everybody off their feet, and you don't realize you're about to hop in bed with the devil. You know what I'm talking about, right? And so that halo effect isn't just with regard to looks and stuff like that. It's also with regard to just wealth. We want to believe the wealthy, powerful person is a good person and wonderful and kind and generous. I mean, why would you not think that? They wrote you a check for $100,000 to support your foundation, so of course they're one of the most wonderful people you've ever met, right? But they're not. They may have wrote that check like it's nothing. I can tell you that, and I used to think about that. When I was writing financial lovemaking, and I became really aware and conscious of just how differently people would treat each other when someone has a little bit of money. And I thought about my own life. I was 34, 35 years old. I was single. I dated and stuff, and I just thought it was really interesting just how I could have a woman's trust very quickly just by doing basic things. I just thought like, wait, so you would sleep with me because I bought you a $200 necklace, and that's that like why? Because maybe everyone else doesn't can't afford to do that, but I could buy a lot of $200 necklaces, and I just didn't understand that. It was very confusing to me. I was like, but your womb is precious. That's where your children are going to come from. Like that's really worth more than a $200 net. Or I took you to Ruth Chris Steakhouse because I was being nice, because I like Ruth Chris too, and I think it's important to treat a person kindly when you take them out if you like them. I didn't go out with a lot of girls, but when I did, it was like, okay, I chose to go out with you, so I'm gonna make sure I put my best foot forward because I want you to like me too, and I want to be a decent person. And and so the reactions I would see were just really confusing to me because I was like, I didn't earn all this. I didn't earn all this trust. and so that was the halo effect. That was I'm so used to guys dragging me to Burger King and getting mad because they had to buy me the cheddar biscuits at Red Lobster, that when I see a guy who is willing to take me to a nice steakhouse, I'm gonna fall in love with him because he must be a wonderful person. And it's like, no, that doesn't make him a wonderful person just because he just because he took you to Cheesecake Factory or something, right? Um, you have to earn that, right? It should take time to earn that. And I think the same thing is true when it comes to money. When it comes to just wealthy people, a rich person is not a good person because they're rich. And a rich person is not a good person because they were rich and generous with you. I think you have to watch for a while. And another reason you have to be really careful is because the word why is extremely important when it comes to wealth. The fact that someone has money is important, but it's not nearly as important as how they got their money. You're rich, but why are you so rich? How did you get rich? What did you do to get rich? And if you can't ask that second order question, then you're going to end up in situations where you might become entangled with people that are bringing a bunch of problems into your life that you never expected. Like I think about people that I've known who got killed because they were in the car with the wrong person, because the neighborhood dope dealer, who gives turkeys away at Thanksgiving might be a person that you want to be friends with. And smart people are the ones who kind of say, all money ain't good money. I don't want to be a part of that. Right. So I want you to go make your money, get your money, and connect with people that can help you make more money. But money is like food. All food is not healthy food. All money is not healthy money. Some food will help you and make you healthier. Some food will poison you and it will kill you. So money is the exact same way. So anyway, that's my 2 cents for today. I hope this was a helpful conversation. Thank you for listening to all my crazy stories. I hope that this helps you digest money. And really the goal every morning when we talk is to just talk about money. It's conversational learning. That's what it's called. And I believe this is the best way to learn about finances, is to be able to look at the whole picture, so that you instinctively kind of know where you want to position yourself and what your next move is supposed to be. And I think this is a great way to teach your kids. You got to talk to your kids about economics from every dimension, every single level, so that when they get out here in this world, they'll kind of know how to navigate it without selling their soul or doing anything crazy in order to get a couple dollars in their pocket. So anyway, I'm out of here. Have a good day, everybody, and I'll text you all the link to join tonight. The link will go out right after we get done. So if you're not on the text list, text the word morning to the number 87948, and I will text you the link to watch the film with us tonight at 8 o'clock. Rick Mathis will be in. Also, those of you that are watching on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. The channel's called Intelligent Black People, and that's what because we have intelligent Black people on the channel, and sometimes we'll run like a series. We'll do like a marathon, like on the weekend, where because what happens is they do a lot of content, and because I don't know why how the world works as far as algorithms, but I don't think they get seen as much as they should, and I think that our smartest, best, and brightest deserve our attention. So literally, you might get a link from me that says, Dr. Boyce, Intelligent Black People or something, and it'll be like a marathon. It'll be like a string of shows by Joe Corley and the Ladies That Fly Nubian Money. And I'm telling you, like, you'll love it. These are super awesome Black people. And I just think that that's what we need to wrap ourselves with. We should wrap ourselves with our best and brightest. We should pick our own heroes. We should make the decision about what kind of people we're going to be, because I'm tired of all the rapper, comedian, athlete conversations. Those are fine, but I think that there are real conversations that will make us human again. We are not just a bunch of basketball dunking, hip hop rapping, like joke telling people. Like there's more to us than just or all these conversations only about sex, right? Only about pop the balloon. I popped the balloon because he's not tall enough. I popped the balloon because she ain't cute enough, or hating on each other. Like I hate black women. Black women be doing this, and black men don't do that. Okay, fine. You've expressed your frustration. You've given us the trauma response. Now give us the intelligent response. Now you've told us how how hurt you are because your mama hurt your feelings, and now you hate all black women. Fine. Now let's talk about healing. Okay, you hate black men because your daddy wasn't nothing. Yeah, a lot of women go through that. Now show me that you care enough about trying to become just a better human being overall. Like, show me that you actually want to show up as the person that you want to be, because if you're carrying around all this garbage in your soul and you're emanating garbage everywhere you go, garbage stinks, and your spirit can stink because you're carrying garbage, and all you're doing is your breath smells like garbage, and your armpits smell like garbage, and garbage is coming out of you. The smell of the garbage soul is coming out of the pores of your skin because you haven't taken the time to heal. You haven't taken the time to sort of fix that, to sit back and say, okay, what's my role in all of this? How do I make myself better so that I can have healthy relationships with black people instead of sitting around complaining about my own people all day long? That's the goal. And so that's what they do all day. They do lots of great stuff related to healing and health and happiness and prosperity and success, and just us being where we want to be. That's what I want. I want you to have healthy relationships. I want you to be mentally healthy, physically healthy, and financially healthy. You achieve those things, you achieve that for your children, then you're going to have a wonderful life, even if you're black, right? Everybody thinks that being black should be connected to misery. That is not true. Being black can be a wonderful thing, but I think you have to make a plan, because I don't think that everybody has the best intentions in mind for you or your children. And so you have to create that for yourself. So anyway, have a